It's a Thursday night in 2026. You're standing in your kitchen with the fridge door open not because you're hungry, but because you need light. The paycheck hit your account this morning, and for 12 glorious hours, you felt like a responsible adult again. Then the auto payments started landing like little silent assassins. Rent, student loan, car insurance, 2 streaming services you forgot you had, a free trial that wasn't free anymore. Then interest because last month you did the thing where you told yourself you'd catch up next paycheck. By the time you close the fridge, you're not even mad. You're just tired. And that's when I show up. Not as a motivational influencer. Not as a finance bro. As Adam Smith powdered wig, calm eyes, and the kind of tone that doesn't shame you. But doesn't let you escape either. You keep saying you need more money, I tell you, leaning on the counter like we've known each other for years. But that's not your real problem. You blink. Then what is? It's where your money goes, I say, and how long it stays away. You laugh like you've heard that before. Everyone says that. But then I open my old book and point to a sentence written for merchants, and somehow it describes your life perfectly. All wholesale trade may be reduced to 3 different sorts: the home trade, the foreign trade of consumption, and the carrying trade. You frown. What does that have to do with me? Everything, I say. Because you don't just earn money, you employ it. And the way you employ, it decides whether you feel free or permanently cornered. So I ask you one question that hits harder than it should. When your paycheck leaves your account, does it come back quickly? You don't answer because the truth is obvious. For most people, money leaves and doesn't come back. It turns into comfort, into coping, into survival. You buy convenience because you're exhausted. You pay interest because you're behind. You upgrade little things because it's the only way. The week feels like it moved. And suddenly, you realize you're not bad with money. You're just operating a system where your capital keeps traveling farther away from you until you can't see it clearly anymore. I tell you a story from my chapter. A merchant whose capital returns fast can make many trips in a year, while another merchant waits years for one return. Then I translate it into your language. If your money returns quickly, you get more chances to improve your life. More cycles, more learning, more correction, more compounding. And the book says it plainly. The returns of the home trade, sometimes 3 or 4 times in the year. A capital will sometimes make 12 operations before a capital employed in the foreign trade has made one. You stare at that line like it's insulting you, because your life is the opposite. Your debt returns monthly, like clockwork, but your progress returns slowly, if at all. So I give you a new rule, quiet, brutal, and immediately useful. Stop asking, what gives the biggest return? Start asking, what brings my money back the fastest without destroying me? Then you say something honest. Okay, so what's the home trade for a normal person? I smile. Home trade is when you keep your capital close enough to understand it. Not literally buy local. I mean money used in ways where you can see the feedback quickly. Skills that raise your income within months. A small buffer that stops panic decisions. A side income you can control without begging an algorithm. You think about your week. You think about the way you keep trying to fix your life with long-shot moves. Big bets, complicated schemes, things you can't explain to a friend in one sentence, and then you whisper, almost embarrassed. So I need shorter loops. Yes, I say, shorter loops. More returns. That night you do one tiny, unsexy thing. You open your bank app and cancel one subscription you forgot existed. Not because it saves a fortune, because it proves you can make your money obey you again. The next morning, you do it again. You find a second leak, a third. It feels small, almost pointless. But something shifts. You're no longer negotiating with the month. You're editing it. A week later, you take that leak money and create something you've never had before, a little stash that isn't for fun and isn't for bills. It's for stability. You call it home. And here's the magic nobody tells you: a small buffer doesn't just protect your finances. It protects your personality. It keeps you from becoming the kind of person who makes desperate choices, because they're one surprise away from chaos. Then you try the other trap, the one that feels like progress but isn't. You start carrying trade behavior platform, hopping, trend chasing, flipping small bets. It's intoxicating. It makes you feel awake. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but your mind gets noisy again. You start checking charts. You start reacting. You start living in volatility. And I tap the page again, harder this time. That part of the capital employed in the carrying trade is altogether withdrawn from supporting the productive labor of that particular country. The profits only return. You pause. Because you feel it. Some hustles pay you money but drain your base. They don't strengthen your skill. They don't stabilize your life. They just keep you moving. So I don't tell you to quit. I tell you to convert. If you must play in distant waters, I say, fine. But make one promise: the profits must come home. Not into lifestyle. Not into treats. Into the boring things that quietly change your future buffer: tools, skills, health, a calmer mind. You nod. Because you've tried the other way. It doesn't work. Weeks pass. Your money starts returning faster. Not because you got rich overnight, but because you built a system where your capital stops disappearing into slow, distant returns. And that's when you attempt the classic mistake. You try to do everything at once. Invest more. Upgrade lifestyle. Start a business. Learn a skill. Pay debt. Fix sleep. Fix fitness. Fix everything. I stop you. Because my chapter also carries this warning. Even great nations rarely have enough capital for all ambitions at once. Trying to do it all isn't the shortest road to real wealth. So I offer you a gentler sentence that still bites. Pick an order. Not forever. Just for this season, you choose stability first, then skills, then scale. And suddenly your life stops feeling like a monthly emergency. On a Sunday morning, you sit with coffee and do a 10-minute check. Not as punishment, but as leadership. Where did my money go this week? Did it come home quickly? Did it strengthen my productive power or just numb me? Am I building closer to home returns or chasing distant illusions? You're not perfect. You still mess up, but now you recover faster. Because the real win isn't never spending. The win is making sure your capital doesn't vanish into the dark. Before I leave, I say one last thing softly. Like a friend who actually wants you to win. Keep your capital close enough to see it. Let it return quickly enough to try again. And employ it, above all, to support the part of you that produces. Then your phone buzzes. Another auto payment. But this time it doesn't feel like an attack. Because you're no longer just surviving the month. You're running it.